Welcome to Jurassic Park.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Why don't we just wait here for a little while?
Do you want to know what it is?
There's no knowing where you might be swept off to.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Shepherds we shall be, for thee, my Lord, for thee.
I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
There's a special rug in hell reserved for people who waste good scotch.
He peed on my rug!
He peed on the dude's rug.
Do your worst.
Final report of the commercial starship Nostromo.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Welcome to your feature presentation. I am your host, Heath Fall. This is the weekly show of March 20th. We're going to be talking about some movies coming out this weekend. With me today is Andrew McKay.
What's up, movie buffs? Favorite type of cheese? I said that so wrong. Wait.
Cheddar, I guess? Provolone?
I can't do this. What's a movie buff's favorite type of cheese? Gouda fellas. Greetings, cheese. I mean, movie friend. AI needs to be destroyed.
Yeah, Andrew's working on some AI movie intro bits.
I'm sorry. I'll do better next time. It's so funny to me because when you ask it, sometimes when you ask it for like a themed greeting, it gives you a regular greeting and then it adds something on the end like, hello, movie friend. Just to clarify, hey, you like movies.
Speaking of that, hello, movie friend.
Yes.
Today we're going to be talking about some movies coming out this weekend. Oh, delightful. All right. So this weekend we've got 3 wide releases coming out. We've got Immaculate, we've got Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire, and Luca, the re-release. What? Yeah, so let's start kind of breaking down these movies here. Do you want to read some summaries for us?
Of course, yeah. So Ghostbusters, a re-release of a 1990 movie starring Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore, after a young man is...
You got me.
I'm sorry. That's Ghost. Oh, I'm so sorry.
This is Andrew Unhinged this
Oh my
week.
gosh, I'm just off the wall.
You're crazy.
Anyway, I gotta reel it in. Ghostbusters,
yeah, you do.
The Frozen Empire. When the discovery of an ancient artifact unleashes an evil force, Ghostbusters, new and old, must join forces to protect their home and save the world from a second ice age.
Yes. Yeah, so this is the sequel to the Paul Rudd, Finn Wolfhard, that kind of movie. So, and it does actually have like Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Ernie Hudson from the original. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. It's another. So this is, gosh, what is this? The 5th Ghostbusters movie, I believe. Because there was Ghostbusters 1 and 2, and there was a reboot, and this is another reboot, and this is got a sequel to the reboot.
Was your first reboot the all-female reboot?
Yes.
Okay, you're including that one. That's good.
Yeah, I think those are the only. Yeah, there's 5, I guess. So, yeah, it looks fun. I thought the last one was fine. It's hard too because I'm not a big Ghostbusters fan. It's a movie that it's like an old movie that people consider to be classic, but I didn't see it until like 5 years ago. And I liked it, but it's like it's a series I could kind of take or leave. So to me, this is kind of like, it's going to probably be another one of the same, so personally, yeah. I mean, unless you hear a bunch of stuff that's like, you've got to go see this. It's like, if you like Ghostbusters, you'll probably like this one too. If you don't like Ghostbusters, then you probably won't.
I'm glad you say that because I really took you for a big Ghostbusters, like original Ghostbusters fan. Ooh. And so I was concerned that I would have to confess to you the sin of never seeing a single Ghostbusters movie.
Ooh, see? Yeah, that is a sin.
I know. And it's yeah.
And it's hard because like I feel bad because it's a movie that I know a lot of people like. There's probably people listening to this like, I love Ghostbusters, but I just it just doesn't do anything for me. But
Yeah, and
I think it is.
I am convinced that people love it for a great reason, especially the original. But for some reason, I just have never been driven to watch it.
Yeah, I'd say watch it. I think it's definitely worth a watch, especially like Bill Murray's funny in it.
I do love Bill Murray.
Yeah, there's some good lines from it, especially like it's one of those movies you'll watch and be like, oh, that's where that saying comes from.
That's fun. I like that.
Yeah. This is directed by Gil Kenan. He did the last Ghostbusters movie, which was Afterlife. He did Monster House, City of Ember, A Boy Called Christmas, Poltergeist.
And I love Monster House.
Yeah. You know, you
Dude.
said that I was a diehard. You assumed I was a diehard Ghostbusters fan. I assumed you were a big Monster House fan.
Well, you assumed correctly.
First time I shook your hand, I was like, this guy seems like he loves Monster House.
This guy loves Monster House. Yeah, I think I watch it once a year, actually.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, around Easter every year.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
I'm just kidding. I watch it around Halloween, not Easter.
Oh, there you go.
I thought you would pick up on that joke.
Well, Easter's coming up, so...
That's true. So is my annual Monster House viewing, apparently.
Hey, Easter time, the time is right. Get some scary movies out there. Cool. All right. Speaking of horror, we also have Immaculate coming out.
Yes, Immaculate. Cecilia, a woman of devout faith, is warmly welcomed to the picture-perfect Italian countryside where she's offered a new role at an illustrious convent. But it becomes clear to Cecilia that her new home harbors dark and horrifying secrets. Cecilia is Sydney Sweeney, and I will say that the actors that stood out to me in this movie were not Sydney Sweeney, but it was Alvaro Morte. He is from El Casa de Papel, or Money Heist from Netflix, which was like a 3 or 4 season thing. He was El Profesor. Loved that series, and I am excited to see him in the horror setting, because that series was more of like action, heisty kind of movie.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a great actor. I don't think I saw that, but he looks super familiar to me. I'm trying to figure out what else I've seen him in.
Yeah, so he's a very popular Italian actor, or maybe it's Spanish actor, regardless, as well as Simona. She's in The White Lotus, Perez. I've not seen Perez, but she was very good in White Lotus, if you have kept up with that series.
I have not.
I highly recommend it. I'll watch Ghostbusters. You watch White Lotus.
Deal. Yeah, I've heard good things about White Lotus as well. The Wheel of Time series. That's what I know him from. He's one of the. He's the main character in that. Which we're not. This is not a Wheel of Time podcast, but I would be into talking about that. But
interesting.
Yeah, and obviously Sydney Sweeney is in a lot right now. We were just talking before this that I think this is her 3rd movie in the last 6 months.
Yeah,
that's gotten released, because it was Madam Web just came out. This is Immaculate, and then it was that. Oh shoot, what's the name? It's that Glenn Powell. It's like a rom-com.
Anyone But You.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So it's like, wow, I guess she's in movies now, which that always is interesting to me, how movies are filmed at different times than the releases might be close together. I remember the first time when I was a kid, like teenager, and I saw that Orlando Bloom was in Return of the King and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Like semi close to each other. And I was like, how does that work? It's like, oh yeah, Return of the King was shot 2 years ago. And like Yeah, so it's funny that like for
Yeah.
some reason all her movies probably. I mean, I'd say she's pretty popular right now. I could definitely see a studio saying, "People like Sydney Sweeney. She was just on SNL. Let's put all her movies out."
Yeah, I mean, Austin Butler is experiencing the same thing. He's got 3 movies, I think, this year, 2 or 3 movies.
Yeah, you're right.
But Sydney, I
may
know
that knife chip and shatter.
Lisan El Gaib.
What deep?
I know Sydney Sweeney first, speaking of White Lotus, from White Lotus. And then after that, I did watch Euphoria. Have you seen Euphoria?
No. Mm-mm.
It's very good for performances, a very well written story. I think there have been like 4 years between each season, but it's very heavy. A main theme is like teen drug use. It does have Zendaya in it, so just really great actors, but it's not like a casual watch. Like it gets pretty intense. So Sydney Sweeney definitely has quite the range of movies that she's in, acting abilities, between Madam Web and a horror movie, Immaculate, and a very compelling drama with Euphoria. So I think it's always interesting to see what she can bring to the story. I think the movie with Glenn Powell, the Anyone But You, that's like a comedy. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's like just like a rom-com.
Yeah. So good for her. And I think that she's listed for one more movie this year.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not sure if there's a release date on it. Oh, it might be Euphoria. So a TV show. But that's a lot of stuff. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff.
That is a lot. Yeah, I was going to say, in the director, Michael Mohan?
Sure.
He did a couple with her. He did Voyeurs, which is another movie with her. Or he's a writer on that. A lot of writing credits, I'm just realizing. He did like Pink Grapefruit, Everything Sucks, the TV series. Oh, no. Weird. I'm trying to find his directing. It keeps popping up. Oh, no, he did direct Voyeurs. Okay. But yeah, a lot of Save the Date. Yeah, I don't think I've seen any of his other work, but so that's interesting. It's kind of into that realm. Like, this is more of his, like, thriller, horror is definitely kind of what he writes and directs, it seems, more often than not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that should be really interesting. So, between these two, Heath, which one is going to get your ticket for the weekend?
We got one more movie.
Oh, you're surprising me. Oh my gosh, I forgot about this one.
So we always want to talk about, we were trying to make these podcasts and videos about wide releases, like new wide releases. So we're not going to talk about every single movie. That's like, there's a lot of limited movies. And I don't want to do a ton of re-release, but I did want to bring up this one just because I think it's interesting to talk about. So the last movie releasing this weekend is Luca, which is a Pixar movie, originally released in 2021. So it was a straight to stream. I think it just popped up on Disney Plus, which is definitely that kind of time. I think there was a lot about, it might have come out in theaters, but it was such a weird time because like some theaters, I mean, our theater up where I live was not open. Like you could not go see it.
Yeah.
So I know so few screens were open. Even if it did get a release, it was like, oh, it's a wide release, but only 25% of the theaters are open. So it's not getting a traditional wide release. So, yeah, Pixar has done a couple of these where it's a wide release, or it's a re-release of something that just went straight to streaming, or it went to theaters and streamed at the same time.
Yeah, very interesting. Wow, I did love this movie. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's weird. This is a movie that has already been out for quite a while. But yeah, I saw it. I really enjoyed it. It's fun. Oh, yeah, we didn't even do I guess we can do it. You want to do a summary?
Yes, yeah. So Luca is about it's on the Italian Riviera. An unlikely but strong friendship grows between a human being and a sea monster disguised as a human. I like that.
Yeah.
That's a nice synopsis.
It's good, nice and tight.
Yeah, just classic, real nice Pixar movie. I feel like I know, not to be negative, but I feel like Pixar, Disney has had a couple misses lately. So re-releasing one that they know is popular is probably a good, like, safe bet for them. So,
Yeah. And this is a director who hasn't done too many movies. I think he only has 3 other directing credits, but it's how Pixar kind of works. It doesn't seem to matter as much because it seems to be more of a like team effort, because it's all behind the scenes. It's all animation, sound booth kind of stuff. So it's kind of like, oh, you just took the lead on this one, as opposed to, there's not a cinematographer. There's not a, on set, like, group of people traditionally. I mean, there might be like in the sound booth, there might be a whole cast, but usually it's done individually. So I feel like these animated movies are a lot different. So I don't think you can kind of really judge them the same. It's like, if this guy is like, I mean, he's been attached to a lot of things, been a part of stuff, writing, actor, a lot of the art department stuff. So he might even be controlling, some of the character movements. So it doesn't really seem to affect it that much of like, oh, he hasn't directed that much, but
yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting topic to talk about is someone from the art department moving directly into directing a movie. And from what I have seen, that's not like super common, but like it happens a lot within the Disney bubble. I think of, I wish I could remember his name, but there was a guy who did all of the animation for young Simba in The Lion King, I believe. I hope I'm not misspeaking, but he had one character in The Lion King, Aaron Blaise, and he animated him, got to know the character really well. He moved on to Aladdin, and he did the tiger in Aladdin. And then he got to direct Brother Bear. And I know Brother Bear is a movie that I showed you recently. I love Brother Bear. But I feel like that's the pipeline, at least a really efficient and really good pipeline for Disney to have, is someone who knows animation really well, taking on that role of director for an animated movie, like an actual animator directing in animation, makes total sense to me. And I'm not sure if that happens all the time. I feel like I don't hear about Aaron's story or stories like it very often. So it's just a good move, honestly, to have someone like Enrico come in and who is an animator and direct Luca, and it just does really well.
Yeah, it does seem like that happens a lot more especially it seems like in Disney circles, to where if they like what you're doing now, they'll move you up to a director, where typically it seems like you'd see TV, shorts, TV movie. And it seems like Disney especially seems to be like, oh yeah, you did this, like, let's put you on a movie, which I think is a good and bad thing. I think we can talk a lot about that as well. But there's sometimes, I think, when it's, oh, we liked you on this. I mean, I don't know if you remember, but we keep hinting that we're never going to talk about The Last Jedi. But Rian Johnson directed The Last Jedi, and I think Disney loved it so much that before the movie came out, they announced he was going to do his own trilogy, his own Star Wars trilogy, like writing and directing it. They're like, this guy's awesome. He's our guy. And then the movie came out, and it was very polarizing. There's a lot of mixed feelings on that movie. And we've never heard anything more about it. Like, it seems like I think if you confronted someone, they'd say it's still in the works, but I don't think it will ever happen. And I think they're like, ooh, people didn't love your movie, so we're just going to not really prioritize that. which is weird because it's like that seems to be a move where it's like maybe they liked the movie, or maybe they just liked working with that director, and that's why they gave him another movie. But then it's like, why wouldn't you wait until you saw what they produced? And Disney seems to do that a lot with directors. Like, how many directors did they go through for Star Wars that they were like, announced this person, Patty Jenkins, they announced her to do Star Wars Rogue Squadron because they saw Wonder Woman. They loved it. They're like, that's a great director. We're giving you a Star Wars. Wonder Woman 1984 comes out. People don't like it. Her movie's done. And it's never like, we fired her, but like, suspiciously, that movie doesn't seem to be happening anymore.
Yes, I hate that so much when a studio like announces a project that's not even being actively written and then they don't do it. It's like, why are you telling me about it then?
Yeah. I think it's a bummer, but I think it's all for hype to get people up. I mean, how many Star Wars projects have been announced that have not happened?
Too many.
Some Marvel, but there's so many, like, and I don't know, maybe they'll change, but it does seem like it's a bummer because it does seem like certain companies like are not there with a director when it fails. But to me, I think it's always been like, but if he's failed a couple times or she's failed a couple times, that's one thing. But if it's like one fail out of a couple great movies, like maybe give him another shot, Steven Spielberg, his what movie was that? He did a comedy as his third movie.
Really?
What is it?
I can't imagine Steven Spielberg doing a comedy.
It's not good.
Like,
no, what is it?
Steven Spielberg's Sex and the City.
Yeah. Here, talk about something for a while. I'm going to look it up. We're going to find...
hey, listen. You can't go from Jurassic Park to whatever he did.
Schindler's List?
Yeah, well, you could. You could.
Did you know that was the same year?
Really?
He directed... he did Jurassic Park and Schindler's List. He, shot them the same year.
Oh, not like... same year released, like he shot them the same year.
Yeah, he was in the Jurassic Park world, and then he was in the
buddy. That's got to be rough.
Well, that's what they said. He read the script. I saw an interview with him, and he said he read the script for Schindler's List. Like, I think he was done or just about to be done with Jurassic Park, and he was like, I have to do this now. Like, it was like the right time, and he felt like he could. And so he finished shooting Jurassic Park and then immediately left to go do Schindler's List. And he actually had George Lucas, I think, finish Jurassic Park, like the editing or sound design or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? He did those in the same year.
Wow. That's insane. Well, I can't find the movie. Did you find the movie you're talking about?
I found it. So it's a movie called 1941. So before this, his big releases. So he did some TV stuff. So Sugarland Express. It's like a car chase movie, I guess, long form. I want to say, it's like a cross country, police kind of chase. And then he did Jaws, obviously, which was huge. Then he did Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So those are two big, boom, boom, big movies. And then he does 1984. Which this was it's just not great. And it's just, I think it would be considered his first flop or fail.
When you say 1984, do you mean 1941?
Yeah, what'd I say?
1984, like the George Orwell.
No, sorry. 1984. No, 1941. Sorry,
Roger.
That's the movie I'm talking about. One of the guys we looked at tonight was a writer on 1984. I think that's why that was in my brain too.
Yes, you're right.
But 1941, Steven Spielberg. Writer. It was written by Robert Zemeckis was one of the writers. Directed by Steven Spielberg. Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi were in it, and it's just there's a reason why you haven't heard of this movie. It's just not good.
Yeah, wow.
But the next movie he does after that, Steven Spielberg is Raiders of the Lost Ark. And then he does E.T. after that. You know, and it's like, if they'd have been like, well, you failed on this movie, you're done. Which I think studios did, but he was like, well, I'm not done, and he didn't give up. But it was like,
Yeah.
that's definitely an instance of like great director, and it was about to give it one of his best. I mean, Raiders. Whew, I could talk about Raiders.
Yeah, seriously.
But that's cool that he was still able to do more. And it's a bummer when they see a director do one thing that's like polarizing or not great, and they're like, you're done. You know?
Yeah, like, get away from us. That is discouraging.
Yeah.
So anyway,
So yeah,
Luca.
back to our Luca. Yeah, I was gonna say a little tangent. My apologies, but I'm not gonna apologize because that's what we do.
Yeah, that's right.
So for Luca, I wanted to ask a question too. Like, do you think it's a re-release and it's a movie you can, if you have Disney Plus, or I think you can even rent it? You know, like, would you go see a movie that you could just rent or you could stream, possibly as part of your, like, if you're already streaming on Disney Plus, it's kind of for free. Would you go see a movie that you could do that too?
Short answer is yes. Long answer is I would go see this movie in the theater if my son was older, because I love the theater experience, and I love when he gets older. I will love taking him there, and this is a great example of that. Like, if he likes this movie or any movie, and we have a DVD of it, we have it on streaming or something, and they re-release it, you bet we're going to the theater because we know we love the movie. We know we're going to like it. We're not betting anything. There's no losses. And we get to go to the theater, get some snacks, and just experience that together. So 100%.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think for me it would definitely depend on the movie. It would have to be a movie that I really loved and it was epic. Like, I guess, like, to me it's like if it warrants a theater experience, I think it'd be more situational. Like Star Wars Episode 1 is getting re-released in May.
Sure
and
is.
I'm like, I'll go see that, you know, and like that'll be fun. But yeah, I think it's definitely more situational. I'd be curious to see how well this movie does, because it's like it's not costing them any more because they've already made it. But I was like, is this going to be a big draw for them, you know? Or I wonder how many people are going to go see Luca. So, yeah, we won't always do re-releases, but I thought that was interesting to kind of bring up that topic. So, yeah, what's your kind of thoughts on what movie would you go see this weekend?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to see Immaculate.
Yeah,
I think I've said it a couple times on the show already, but I do love horror movies, thrillers. I am still a baby in the thriller and in the horror genre. So there's some catch up for me to do. I think you remember, like, 9 months ago, I was watching all of the Friday the 13th movies. But I love to watch the new and the interesting horror as it comes out. So, what about you?
Yeah. I think we should just talk about horror movies and slashers sometime, because I think those are definitely movies that are just fun to consume.
Yeah,
you know, like that feels very theater experience to me. You know, like, yeah, I love watching through all the Halloween movies, Friday the 13th, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, back to the topic at hand. I would also go see Immaculate this
Look
week.
at us. When are we going to disagree, Heath?
I was gonna say we're 3 for 3, I think, right now.
Yeah,
we have not. We're always gonna see the same one, but I don't know. It looks interesting to me, and yeah, I definitely like horror movies better. I think it depends on who I'm going with to see the movies, but I think probably I'd go see Immaculate. If my wife was really wanting to go see a movie this weekend, I think we'd be going to see Luca, because she hates Ghostbusters.
she does, really.
I don't know why, because I don't think she saw any of the original ones, but we did see Afterlife together, and I think that was the first movie. She's not a big movie person, but I think that was the first movie we walked out of, and she was like, "I hated that movie."
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, I don't know why. We'll have to talk to her about that sometime with why she disliked that movie so much.
Get her on the pod.
Get her on the pod. All right. So we're going to wrap up today. I've got a little teaser for you.
Perfect.
This is a buddy gave this to me for an early birthday present, and it's just like a little movie memorabilia item, and I'm going to show it to you, and I want you to guess what it is.
Oh,
it's
I
from
get
a
to
very
see
popular movie. Yep. And then for those of you just listening, I'm going to read it. It's a little thing, and it's from a very popular movie, but it's a very obscure reference. So I want to see if you can get what this is. Okay. So this is it. I don't even think you can even read that. But
I
this
can
is what
see.
it is.
It looks like a receipt.
Yep, some type of receipt. It's
Wow.
laminated.
Okay.
And it's so funny. He's just like, we talk about this movie a lot, and so he's like, I just thought that was so funny, so I wanted to get it for you. Okay, so I'm going to read it to you, so you can hear it, and then everyone listening can do that as well. So I'm going to read it to you, and when you have an answer, I want you to raise your hand. So let me finish it, but then I want to hear you guys.
Okay.
Western Auto Sales, world's leading auto accessory stores. And I'm going to read you the damage for this receipt, okay? So work done, dents and detailing, $213. Manure removal, $80.
I know what it is.
4 cans of oil. You know what it is?
Keep going.
4 cans of oil for free. Sales tax $9. Total $302.57. And the location is 9 Courthouse Square, Hill Valley, California, November 22nd, 1955. What movie is this from?
Is it from a Back to the Future movie?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
The Back to the Future movie.
Wow.
So, like, this is the most obscure movie memorabilia I think I've ever seen. I love it, but
I'm
it's so
honestly
funny,
surprised I got it.
Yeah, good job. I was going to say that I think the big thing is the November 22nd, 1955, Hill Valley, California. But yeah, manure. You had it on manure.
Yeah, I
removal.
did. I was like,
what did
okay,
it.
it's a
Yeah.
car thing, famous cars in movies. And then you said manure, and I envisioned a car going through a cow pasture. And I was like,
Manure. Oh, we should talk about Back to the Future sometime because I love
Man.
that movie.
we got to get to it. What a great little thing.
Yeah, just a little card. I thought that was fun. It was so funny because my birthday is in May, so it's like 2 months early. But he was like, "I got it for you for your birthday." He was like, "I thought it was so funny, like I couldn't wait."
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, thanks, man. That's awesome." So yeah, that's gonna do it for this week. We suggest you go see Immaculate, but there's some good choices this week out as well. And yeah, so I just want to say, I made a reference to you because I wanted you to talk about something. Andrew brought off the pod that he wants to discuss the knife fight from Dune Part 2.
Yes.
And I think we're going to save that for next week.
Oh,
So
tune in next week. I've
Listen.
got a lot of thoughts.
yeah, you've got a week to deliberate.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for listening. Andrew, you got anything to say to sign off?
No, just thanks, folks. See you next time.
Go see a movie.